And I'm back. Welcome back to Steve Steel. I'm Stephen, and this is the Tonga Green L322. 20 years old, 190,000 miles, and you might be thinking, yeah, I love that. I really like one of those, because it is really a very nice car. So we're sitting here on my drive on a rather grey, overcast Sunday morning in early February, and I thought you might like to see the reality of buying a 20-year-old 190,000 mile L322 and what you really ought to be prepared for. We might as well just start at the beginning, start at the front and work our way back. I've taken off wheel arch liners and obviously the wheel, and there's a few clues in here as to how old this car is and what it's been up to. We can start right here. I hope you can see that. 12th of the 1st, 05. And from that, you know, the last time these were undone was 20 years ago. We're going to change these hubs. I've got a complete rebuilt front hub knuckle assembly, as the Americans would call it, and I've got the same for the rear. We're going to do both of those. We're also going to replace this link here, because this inner bush tends to get really manky. We're going to replace this one here, again because that gets really manky and that ball joint gets really manky. We're going to replace this ball joint here because that one gets really manky as well, and in doing so we're going to be putting in this new knuckle assembly which has a new wheel bearing in it. So that's all job to do in the front suspension. While we're in the front wheel arch, we're going to deal with this bit of surface rust, put a bit of protection on it, a bit of rust converter and then a bit of wax oil painted over it to protect it. But generally this is all sound, it's straight. This car's never been in an accident or a bump of any sort, so I feel okay with that. We're probably also going to replace this brake flexi because that's going to fail on MOT. It's cracked there, it's all chafed there. It's probably not too good down there either, so we'll replace that. And because we're replacing the front knuckle, you can never get the ABS sensors out without breaking them, so it will get a new ABS sensor as well. While we've got it in pieces, we'll have a quick look at the track rod end, make sure that's okay, and we'll replace that as well if we need to. Working back from there, oh my god, look at this mess. So this normally has a little plastic panel over it and a mud flap of some sort. So of course we're going to remove this and we'll undo these bolts if we can. If not, we'll drill them out. We'll take this bracket off completely because it is actually redundant, we don't need it, and we'll clean up the area behind it and make that all good. I've got a new one of these brackets which is for mounting the mud flap onto. This piece here is actually all part of the bottom of the wing, so, and it's aluminium, so that's okay. Now the sill itself, these are usually okay, and this one is typical. All of this material is sound, all the chassis is sound, all of the floor pan is sound, all of that is as I'd expect it to be. That's typical and what you can expect. Working our way back underneath the sill here, we've got a little bit of surface rust in various places. We'll treat that as we go, clean it up, put some rust converter on it, and a bit of wax oil before we put the trims back on. Now, while we're on the sill, oh my god, this is unfortunately equally typical. Let's get down there so we can have a look, shall we? See if we can get a shot where the light is good. Here we go. Oh dear. Oh dear. All of this completely shot. There's a little bit of surface rust on the inside face. We call this a sill in the UK. I think in the States you call it a rocker. But that inner rocker, got a bit of surface rust on it, but it's fine. So we're going to clean this off, work out where to cut it, slice it off somewhere convenient, probably down here and along there, around there, and take this section off. This is the jacking point. That's completely shot as well, so that will come off and be replaced. And then this is the wheel arch, which is completely shot. When I bought this car, it had tape over this. It didn't disguise it, it just stopped the rain from coming in, but completely rotten all the way up to about here. There's a tiny bit of surface rust on here and on the underside there, but actually the rest of this is actually in good order, and the inside face there is in good order. I have a suspicion that's been replaced. We'll find out obviously when we strip the paint back from here and cut this out. We'll be cutting probably up there and across there and down this swage line here to remove this material and take it all off. Inner wheel arch is equally bad, but then there's a weld edge there, there's one there. This panel is usually sound. It's this little piece that sticks out the side that's usually completely shot, and so we'll cut that back and replace it with a piece. Going up inside the wheel arch, it feels like it's sound from about there, about halfway up, and that's again pretty typical of these cars. So you see this clip here runs across here into there, and this piece of material here is sound, so we'll be cutting from there down, remove all of this piece and put new material in for the inner wheel arch. But you can see how horrible that is. So all of this will get chopped out and replaced. What's the rest of the inner wheel arch like? Obviously we've removed the liner from the rear here. All the areas that are protected by the arch liner are okay, which is really nice. A little bit of surface rust in the back corner here, that's very typical, and along this edge there are welds here and here and here and here and here, here and here and here. Underneath this seam sealer there are welds, and they tend to rust a little bit over the years, but we'll clean all this off. There's a little bit of surface rust up there as well. We'll clean all that off and put some rust preventer on it, and hopefully wax oil, and put the liner back in, and that will be okay. So then you're looking at the rear suspension, and given that we know the front suspension has not been touched for 20 years, surprise surprise, the rear suspension looks like it's all original parts as well. They're actually in quite good order for a car of its age. I've seen a lot worse, but I don't know if you can see that. rather hard to show on the camera. This top bushing is completely shot. This is allowing this to move sideways, back and forth. That brake pipe there is utterly rotten, so we'll be putting a new one in. That goes all the way back to here, and typically when you try and undo that from that, you end up breaking it, so we'll probably have to splice a new piece of hard pipe in there as well. We'll replace this entire rear knuckle assembly again like we're doing on the front. That will give us a new top bearing and a new bottom bearing. We'll put a new CV joint on the rear here. We had to put one on the other side because that was completely shot, and ABS sensors and pad wear sensors and all of that, and also this track control arm which goes up there for the track adjustment cam, which is on the inboard end. And normally when you do those you have to cut them out, you can't undo them, and I suspect we'll have to cut this one out as well. Bottom ones tend to be better. So that's a bit of the reality of taking on one of these L322s that are 20 years old. It's not so much the mileage, it's not even so much the way it's been looked after, it's just 20 years of weather here in the UK that does that. But over here we've got replacement front knuckle. This is one of my reconditioned ones. You can pick these up on my website at stevesteel.co.uk. Front suspension, links and wishbones, rear track control arm, new bolts, rear hub assembly, there we go. It's got new top and bottom bearings in it, and a new wheel bearing, new brake backing plate, and I've got some spare brake pipes there, so we can replace that brake pipe. I've also got a pair of wishbones, which I'm not going to fit at this moment, and a new pair of shockers as well, which I'm not going to fit at this moment, mainly because I don't fancy doing those jobs while the car is sitting on the drive. When we get it into the workshop, by the way, is there. You have to imagine it. It will be like 30 square metre workshop just there, with probably a 4-post lift in it. I like working on a 4-post lift, I'm less worried about the car falling off it. But at the moment we're working on the drive and out of the old shipping container. So that's the jobs we've got to do. Stay tuned for the next video, hopefully in about a week from now, where I'll take you through all the steps. We'll probably do it in a number of stages. We've got a welding job to do, obviously, and we've got all the mechanics to do, and then we've got to put it back together again. And I'm not going to bore you, I'll only show you one side. I've already done the other side, to be fair, and put it in the next video. So thanks for watching, stay tuned, come back, subscribe, comment, share, like, do all those things. Helps with the YouTube algorithms, helps me feel more motivated to produce the next video. Thanks for watching, see you next time.